Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the middle of a series where we're talking about how to enhance your productivity and effectiveness in your pursuit of purpose. We've already seen that purpose and effectiveness are actually connected together. You cannot say that you are effective if you are purposeless. You cannot say that I've been having a very effective life and yet you're living way outside of purpose. It's not possible. If you want to look at effectiveness, it's doing the intended in the right time at the right timing. That's what effectiveness is all about. Peter Drucker told us about effectiveness and efficiency, that effectiveness is doing the right things and efficiency is doing them right. So in the episode today, I want us to look at one more thing that you can be able to do in order to increase your effectiveness and productivity in this life. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
Yesterday we discussed three important things about effectiveness, and I think we need to take a note about that, and let me just do a recap for you. We say that if you're going to be effective, you need to look at three things. Number one, the definition. What exactly does it look like to be effective when the curtain comes to a close of something or a season or a project? What has it done? What is the definition of effectiveness? We say that it varies from one person to another, but the standard, the SI unit, the thing that identifies everyone else is that they've got to be effective. How that is going to come out is going to vary from one person to another. So number one, what does it look like to be effective? Number two, what must be done? Now that you know the definition of, you know how it looks like, what should you do? What must you do? What action are you going to take? What are the non-negotiables? If you know you're a preacher and you're going to be effective as a preacher, the non-negotiables are praying and reading and studying and applying yourself. Those are non-negotiables. It goes without saying. Study to show yourself approved, because the effectiveness is the delivery of a transformative message. So number two, what must be done? Number three, we said, what are the benefits? In other words, who is it that you're doing this effectiveness for? To whose benefit are you doing this effectiveness? What impact? What transformation? What contribution? That's it. Without these three things, there can be no effectiveness. And so today, let us delve deep into this. Even I've started winding down these episodes, this series. How do we enhance our productivity and how do we enhance our effectiveness? Notice that the word productivity and effectiveness, I'm kind of interchanging them. You cannot be productive if you're not effective. You cannot be effective if you're not productive. That just goes without saying. I mean, you don't even need to think about that. But how do you enhance the productivity of your life in your purpose pursuit? How do you enhance it? The first thing that you gotta do, this is what we do the whole wide over. This is what we do. We seek for competence. If you're going to be effective in your life, if I'm going to be an effective speaker, I'm going to join Toastmasters. At least I'm going to join a speakers club. So that every single week I am practicing and I'm getting feedback and I'm increasing. I am increasing my competence. Competence is something that anybody anywhere can actually increase. Now, the problem that I have with this is that sometimes the competence that we are pursuing is not necessarily connected to our purpose. So you find someone struggling with mathematics and it just can't. I mean, it's refused to sink into your skull, but you're still struggling with it for 16 years. And yet there are geniuses out there who can be able to do the mathematics. Meanwhile, as you're struggling with mathematics, you're such a good singer, such a nice, beautiful voice. And you're not doing anything to be competent in that. Competence must have a foundation of ability. And I know people will say, oh, but I can increase myself, I can increase my skills. Yes, you can. But the things that you're increasing, make sure they are not your weaknesses. Don't magnify your weaknesses in seeking competence. Magnify your strength instead. If you're good at mathematics, then magnify the mathematics. And you're bad at speaking, leave the speaking alone. Alright? Just magnify the mathematics, and maybe you can do the speaking later on just to patch up, just to be a bit competent. But you are looking for being a virtuoso, a genius, a master, a grandmaster in chess. You're looking at being at the top of the food chain as far as this is concerned. The whole wide world always looks for our competence. Millions of children worldwide are being trained to be competent at working at jobs as we speak. You have kids you're sending out there, your own kids. What are you doing? You want them to become competent. At what? You want them to become competent at maybe doing a job. Why? So that they can fend for themselves and they can be able to earn a living. When we look at life from that angle, the effectiveness of life ceases. The effectiveness of my being, my existence, should be connected to what difference, what impact am I going to make. It is that making a difference, making a contribution, making an impact that now earns me something. Therefore, the priority is not to make it in life. The priority is to make life happen and create a difference and make an impact and a transformation. And in so doing, you get paid. So competence is simply the ability to do what is required of you. If you're going to be effective and productive, work on your competence. In my work as a consultant, I have raised teams in 3 African countries that I have deployed for different clients: Kenya, Uganda, and Ghana. The most strenuous phase of raising a team, I tell you, it is selection. You issue a call out there. You want these kinds of caliber of people and these kinds of qualifications. People come from all over the place. They come with competences. They come with papers. Some with PhDs which they have hidden. Some with masters which they have hidden. But the problem is when you start talking to these people, their papers are showing that they are competent. But when you start talking about to these people and interviewing them, man, the outlook of life is one thing. And you know what I realized? One thing, I realized that a good employee is not someone that you get off of the shelf. A good employee is actually someone that you raise up yourself, you train them, you give them the competence commensurate to what you want them to do in life and at that particular job. So what I look for under competence, though, is not necessarily the skills and the abilities. I look for good attitude and the spirit of excellence and the curiosity to learn and to grow. You know, you could have a highly skilled person who has a poor attitude, and I personally do not consider that a person to be competent. Someone with a pathetic attitude, selfish, I actually deem them incompetent. And on the other hand, you might have a lowly skilled person with an incredible focus, an incredible attitude to learn, an incredible spirit of excellence, and an incredible hard-working spirit. That is the person that I can teach, I can equip, I can upskill. And you might need to spend a bit of time and resources on this particular kind of a person. The same applies to you as an individual. Competence is something that can always be improved. We can always get better. Good, better, best. Do not let it rest until the good is better and the better is best. I always look for ways I can improve my competences, my capacity, my ability, because I am thoroughly committed to being an effective person on earth. So the good news is that I can always be better. The good news is that you can always be better. And this is what we need to do. We need to work on our competence. But to be effective, we need to identify where we are competent. Where are our fields of strength? That is where we're supposed to focus on, hank down on them, put our hands on the plow, don't look back, and work on our competence. Because if we're going to be effective, we can never, ever dare to be incompetent. Tomorrow, we're going to look at another thing that you and I can do in order to increase our productivity and our effectiveness in life. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.